An often overlooked item is the hammer. It doesn't farm resources like the other tools, and its usage is very situational. This episode will focus on the hammer and its potential early game applications. The hammer is a tool that lets you break down structures. After breaking down a structure, it'll drop at least half the resources used to make it. One of the main changes from vanilla to ROG is the recipe for the hammer. It no longer requires rope and uses cut grass instead. The most crucial difference is its research tier. It can now be made without a science machine. This means that you can make the hammer almost immediately. Set pieces are randomly generated groups of structures, resources, or items, generally found near skeletons, presumably belonging to a dead survivor. They can range from a single object to an entire screen full of objects. Many set pieces, specifically the ones that have structures, are often found in a less than ideal location. This is where the hammer becomes useful. By having a hammer ready, you'll be able to break down these structures and potentially get some uncommon resources from them. More importantly, you'll have the option of repositioning these structures to a more convenient location of your choosing by using the items dropped. This means that the random bee-box, tent, science machine, or whatever random structure you found in the middle of nowhere can now be moved to your base, albeit piece by piece, so you have to reconstruct them yourself. This can potentially accelerate research and base development. Remember that set pieces are random, so the effectiveness of the hammer is somewhat unreliable. However, there are some guaranteed structures that every world will generate. Pigheads are sometimes found in the marsh biome, and always found near touchstones. At first glance, the pighead is an object that adds to the creepy ambience of the game, but actually it's more than that. The pighead is a structure that provides uncommon resources. When you hammer down a pighead, it'll drop 2 pig skins and 2 twigs. Alternatively, you can wait until the full moon to do this and get a nightmare fuel along with the aforementioned items. This is highly efficient because not only do you get refunded a large amount of the hammer's recipe items, you also get several items that can help you survive. Pigskin is an important item for crafting. It makes 2 very useful pieces of equipment, the umbrella and the football helmet. The umbrella makes it much easier to survive spring, especially if it's your first season. The football helmet gives you 80% damage reduction in the head slot, freeing up your armor slot for a backpack to carry more items. Note that the football helmet requires an alchemy engine, so you'll need a moderate amount of research before you can make it. Nightmare Fuel is used for higher tier research and items, so getting a few of them early can help accelerate your expansion process. You can also use it to turn Chester into Shadow Chester by placing 1 Nightmare Fuel into each of his slots during the full moon. The things are pieces of the teleportado, the device used to move from world to world. For most players, this is unimportant. However, each thing spawns with a set piece, and because the things will always spawn in every world, their set pieces are guaranteed resources if you have a hammer. The 2 I want to focus on are the crank thing and the metal potato thing. The crank thing always spawns with a bunch of evil flowers, an axe, several spiky trees, and a pig house. The pig house is the important object here. Breaking it down and killing the pig, however ruthless it may seem, will yield quite a few important resources. Every item dropped is an advanced tier item and can be used for many higher tier item recipes. The metal potato thing spawns with a few basic farms and a bunch of grass, saplings, and carrots. The basic farms can be hammered to yield grass, logs, and manure. Not only are these farms generally in a bad position, but the improved farm is better than the basic farm in every aspect, so having these farms isn't ideal. If you want to make more farms, use the deconstructed items to make improved farms. Otherwise, you have quite a few fuel items that are also used in numerous recipes that you can use for whatever you want. Moleworms are uncommon passive mobs. They tunnel around near their burrow, attempting to eat rock-type items off the ground. For the player, the moleworm serves 2 main functions, food and recipe item. The former isn't the ideal use for moleworms, as there are better sources of food, but it's an option if you're desperate. In order to use a moleworm in a recipe, you need to be able to pick it up. When attacking a moleworm with normal weapons or tools, it'll take damage and die just like any other mob. However, when you use the hammer, the moleworm will flip over onto its back and become stunned, allowing you to easily pick it up like any regular item. It's just like playing whack-a-mole. The easiest way to obtain a moleworm is to take advantage of its gluttony. Drop a rock-type item on the ground and force attack it with the hammer as it approaches. The Moleworm is used to make two very powerful pieces of equipment, the Rain Hat and Moggles. The Rain Hat provides a high amount of water resistance and lightning resistance. This makes surviving spring much easier. The Moggles are extremely useful for surviving in the caves and ruins. Wearing them will grant night vision that lets you see into the darkness for as long as the fuel allows it, preventing the night monster from attacking and bypassing the poor vision limitation. They can be refueled with glowberries. The two main followers in the game are pigs and bunnymen. Each of them have their own homes and can protect you from aggressive mobs like hounds. This means that having them close to your base can be a great boon and greatly improve your chances of survival. However, there are several limitations to each follower. Pigs are often located in an isolated area near a deciduous forest. This means that unless you intend to build your base at that location, it may be inconvenient to run there whenever you need help. If you do build your base near pigs, you should know that pigs will eat almost any kind of food off the ground, which can be mildly irritating. But more importantly, they turn into werepigs during the full moon, essentially removing their usefulness as bodyguards. Bunnymen are located underground. This means that they're innately difficult to reach and building a base around them is generally not ideal. Furthermore, they'll attack you if you have any kind of meat in your inventory when you walk near them. The combination of all these factors means that you'll need to be able to control the location of these followers to make use of their defensive capabilities, and potentially to farm them for their drops if necessary, as they both provide very valuable resources. Once again, the hammer becomes useful. Using the hammer will allow you to break down their homes for uncommon resources that you can use to expand your base, research, or just to reposition their homes to a more convenient location. Because of the volatile nature of these mobs, it may be a good idea to keep them away from the core of your base, but have them within safe walking distance in case you need help. Note that if you're playing Weber, the followers will attack you on sight because you're a spider, but nothing is stopping you from breaking down their homes just for fun. The hammer is a situationally useful but fun tool, especially if you like destroying things. I hope this episode inspires some destructive drive in you. Thanks for watching, and don't starve.